Thank you all for joining. I'm going to share my screen. So do you all just see the intro slide? Okay, I see nods. Good. So thanks all for coming. At this point, so we're going to be talking about credit for all sorts of research artifacts. At this point, I hope you all are familiar with the zooming and the keep going and so forth. Still want to remind you about our community participation guidelines and the, how, if you want to report an issue, there is the URL. That's important. And also, we're talking about credit, and so I think it's important that, although this meeting is online, I want to acknowledge the land where I reside. I'm grateful to live on the lands of the Cheyenne and the Arapaho peoples. And ESIP is people concerned with Earth system science and the health of our planet. So I think we would all be well served to learn from our indigenous peoples who have stewarded the land for thousands of years. If you want to find out where you live, that link will show you whose land you live on. Feel free to share it in the chat. Okay, before we even get into anything, this is, let's get to know each other. Let's build a little trust, build a little relationships. We're all going to be randomly thrown out into groups of 2 for 5 minutes. This is all informal. None of it will be recorded or anything. But just as a prompt in the spirit of what the session is about, would like to ask you and your partner to discuss, what would you like to be professionally recognized for and how? We focus all about, in academia at least, about the citation to the literature. But there's so much more that we do, and there's so much more that we produce. So that's just a little prompt. Megan's going to send us off into our little 2 groups, and 5 minutes will go by fast and you'll be yanked out, so be prepared. So I'll talk to you in a minute.
Oh. That was a false start. Everyone's going to come back. Sorry, everyone. There were 16 rooms, and then suddenly there were 6. So stand by. Feel free to be thinking about what you're going to talk about in 30 seconds.
You yanked me out.
Yes, it's my fault. It's because I accidentally didn't do it right. Right now I see 16 rooms. I'm going to open all rooms and you will have the appropriate amount of time. All right.
So I was in a breakout session with Mark, and then all of a sudden I got kicked back here.
That's it's my fault. I opened the wrong number of rooms. So hold on just a moment. I'm going to put you somewhere else.
Because I was in my own place.
How about the 3 of you do this in this room? Would that be okay?
Fine.
Sure. Sure.
What would you like to be recognized for?
Oh, but somebody else was already talking, so I'm the interloper. Nancy, you want to keep?
I was just saying that I'm crashing your meeting because I was in a room all by myself, and it doesn't do me any good to talk to myself about what I want to get credit for. So glad to join.
Okay. Well, I was in a meeting room with Mark Persons, and then all of a sudden I like teleported here. It's like infinite improbability. So we don't really know what's happening, but here I'll just say it. I'd like to get credit for working on OpenDAP. There you go.
I think I'm going to expand that just ever so slightly towards something that isn't there, but matchmaking or cross-domain collaboration building. So being able to build teams with very disparate backgrounds to work to solve similar problems.
Okay, that's cool.
That sounds great. That's actually close to what I would have said. Or I am going to say that it's collaboration, working, in places specifically in collaborative ways, to whether you're a volunteer or not, especially if you're a volunteer, not necessarily part of your job, but being involved in getting people together, especially if they're from different communities. So
yeah, like credit for lowering barriers to collaboration. Not that I need that credit, but just that it is recognized as an important role.
Yeah.
So how would one get? I'm sorry, James. I'm going to have to say you get credit for OpenDAP.
Okay.
You're at the top.
Oh,
of the
but I was supposed to think of something that I wouldn't get credit for that I want credit for. I mean, I walked my dog at 3:40 a.m. in the morning. I mean, can I get credit for that?
Oh.
Huh. Our dog must have been on the same. Dogs must have been on the same schedule.
Yeah, it was like in Europe or something. No. I mean, I don't know. Oh, so I'm supposed to think of something that I wouldn't normally get credit for.
I think so.
I think that was the idea, is just to find out.
Oh, okay.
Because part of what we're trying to do with the whole session.
I mean, that's got a lot harder.
I know it does.
We're gonna run out of time. You guys keep going. I'll think about this.
Interesting, the lowering barriers, Megan. When you say that, you mean the soft skills, kind of, right?
Yeah, facilitating. Yeah, all of that sort of helping people get over obtain the activation energy needed to set off a collaboration, or get unstuck when they're stuck. Make connections, that kind of thing.
The matchmakers tend to not actually get added to the articles that come out of it, and the matchmakers oftentimes don't get added to the proposals. But
that's a good point.
That you start matchmaking, and lots of articles and proposals come out of it, but there really isn't a way to say or suggest that who spawned the collaboration, I guess.
Right. Okay, well, I came up with one, although I think I'm grasping at straws here. But I think along with Peter Cornillan and Glenn Flerrell and George Milkowski, I'd like to get credit for pushing on online access to data as a service back when everybody said that we were just going to send 9-track tapes back and forth. So there you go.
Great.
Because I heard that it would never work for a long time. And now, of course.
I remember when there were organizations that sole job was, hey, want to send a terabyte of data that's going to take weeks to upload? Use us.
Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true. It's totally true. So I don't know. So getting credit for that early stuff would be cool, I guess. I don't know.
I would like to hereby recognize James Gallagher and many other crew who opened us up to the concept of online data access.
But I don't really think that's true, actually. I think a lot of people.
So you're going to say online dating then for a moment?
Yeah, as I was getting to the end of my sentence, I wasn't sure. I need to craft it better as to what exactly we're.
You know, it was both terrifying and heartwarming to hear OpenDAP referred to as traditional in one of the sessions. Somebody in the Pangeo session, they asked if traditional methods like OpenDAP were going to be supported. I thought,
one could say Neolithic, you know, almost.
One could say Neolithic. Yeah.
One shouldn't, but one could.
Just like an ordinary standard, like MS Word or something.
Just like we're the Microsoft Word of data.
No, you're the word.
I'm digging at you.
You're the word perfect.
There you go. Word star. Really date yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, kids. We're back in session. I think. Are we back? Do we have everybody back?
Yeah. Now we have 38 people here.
Okay. Are you all still seeing my screen?
No.
Nope.
Are you now?
No.
You are now.
Yes. The whole screen.
I cleaned my screen especially for this meeting. I closed all my tabs. And, okay, so to get started, I hope you all thought a little bit more about what credit means. Just as a bit of background, this is the work of the ESIP Research Artifact Citation Cluster. So we're looking at figuring out how to cite all sorts of different artifacts. And that builds from work we started more than a decade ago on data citation, which we recently updated, and also recent guidelines on software and service citation. And now we're expanding beyond that. And I would argue that in the basic scholarly context, the basic issues of how to do it, implementation still struggles, but the basic issues of how to cite data and software are pretty well resolved, but some issues remain. And those issues really stem from the definition or the intent of citation. So this is the third time in this meeting that I have put up some version of this slide. So that gives you a sense of why I think how important I think it is, because I think we all throughout all of ESIP need to be thinking about what we mean by citation in the same way. And so the cluster has adopted the CODATA definition, which says the data citation is a reference to data for the purpose of credit attribution and facilitation of access to the data. So it's really the three very distinct things that citation is trying to do. And it also implies, other sorts of things such as authority and maybe potential provenance or being able to measure impact. But at the very least, we're trying to address those three concerns. And that's also often what makes it complicated. And so what we've been trying to do in the cluster is take a step back and look at those concerns independently and for different types of artifacts. This definition for data citation, I think, would work for other artifacts, and that's part of what we're working through. And so today we're going to focus on these 5 different research things: data, software, physical samples, semantic artifacts like taxonomies and ontologies, and complex learning objects, these things that you bring together to facilitate education. And what we're doing with all of this is really complicated. And so what we've talked about in the past is this is like movie credits. And I specifically chose this movie because of its geographic background. And of course, it's a fantastic movie. I suspect many of you recognize it. You can put it in the chat. But the point about movie credits is, yeah, that seems like a great idea, but movie credits are very detailed. They're highly negotiated, across unions and lawyers and so forth, and very complex. So it's well and good to say that, oh, we want to have a movie credit style form of attribution, but what does that really mean? So one group established something that's called the contributor roles taxonomy, or credit. This was really primarily geared towards articles, journal articles, literature, but we're exploring whether, it might be able to apply to other types of artifacts. And so they've laid out these different roles, which all have definitions, which when we get into the exercise, you'll have access to. But I think you can get a sense of the different roles that are involved in creating a journal article, but also are probably involved in creating other research artifacts. And so at the last summer meeting, we began to assess how these roles might apply to different artifacts. And credit's complicated. We only got so far. So we want to continue that again today and try and be more specific, and also try and identify where roles are missing. We know that this is not the end all and be all of movie credit definition, but so how might we flesh that out? And can we generalize across artifacts, or is everything specific? So today we're going to try and finalize what I said, finalize whether and how those roles of credit apply to these different artifacts, and then determine which ones are missing. And so we're going to go out into breakouts. We're going to spend most of our time in breakout. And so I'm hoping you're all Zoom savvy at this point, and you can change your name. So you click on your little person, your window, and click the 3 dots and choose rename, and choose a group that you would like to be in. What you're most interested in: data with Madison, software with Dan, semantics with Ruth, samples with Sarah, or complex objects with Nancy. Maybe you can just say CLO or complex for Nancy. So I'll give you a minute to sort through that while you're thinking about where you want to go, and in telling the staff where you want to go, I'll give you a bit more about what we're going to do. So,
Mark, can I add one thing, actually?
Sure. Yeah.
Just about the complex learning, complex objects. We also are thinking about Jupyter notebooks, but need some help in that area, because I'm not that familiar with Jupyter notebooks as an example of learning a complex object. So if people are interested in that, that's another area.
All right, good call.
Thanks
for clarifying. And so what we're going to be doing in this exercise is you're going to be looking at those different roles for those different artifacts, and you're going to be thinking about how these different roles might be credited. And we've set up 3 categories of basically citation, acknowledgement, elsewhere, and then not applicable. So I guess there's 4 categories. And these are fuzzy, it's not necessarily that if there was a citation, then this would be included. What does acknowledgements mean? There are not acknowledgements on an ice core as a geophysical sample, for example, but there are, similar sorts of concepts. So you might also think about it as citation is, high credit. This person was really, was significantly involved. They're the author or the publisher, they deserve some significant credit. Acknowledgements, they were a big help. We want to shout them out. We want to be sure they're recognized. Elsewhere, maybe it's buried deep in the metadata, contact person, but something that, you need to know about, but it's not high profile. So these are fuzzy categories we recognize, but that's what we want to sort of think about. And I assume you know what non-applicable means. So the Kiko page, the Google Doc, has detailed instructions on this, and all of our leads are all well up to speed on it. And you can get to that spreadsheet at that bit.ly, and I will just do that now to give you a sense of what we're going to do. So you probably can't see this very well, but you can see it on your screen, I would assume. So are you seeing the spreadsheet? Okay. So you'll see there's several tabs: data, software, physical samples, etc. And here are the roles across the top: conceptualization, data curation, formal analysis, and their definitions. Here is what the group has said we think should be the level of credit. So we think that the conceptualization of data deserves citation level credit. Data curation maybe requires citation, maybe acknowledgements, it's a little fuzzy, and so on it goes. And then the second row down are where you explain, caveats, and then, it depends and so forth. And then this column E, is where you add roles that maybe weren't included in the ones that you thought about. So you'll have a minute, more than a minute, you'll have like 10 minutes to enter your name here and just say whether you agree or whether you want to add something else. No, this should be citation, however you want to do it. Your leads will actually probably give you more instructions on how they want you to do it. But the point is for each person to fill out a row, and on sort of your reaction to this. You have a lot of time for discussion after that, where people disagree and so forth. There'll be a sum up exercise at the end where I would like you to enter things into a Google slide deck of basically how far did you get, major takeaways, what's next. And then we won't have a report out session at the end. We'll come back for the last 7 minutes or so, just to touch base, do a quick Slido poll, figure out what's next. But most of the work is really going to be, this is very much a working session in these different groups.
Break in for half a second and say, if you're thinking about joining software or semantics, would love some more folks in those rooms. And then I wanted to confirm with you, Mark, 55 minutes in total.
Is that what leaves us with, whatever leaves us with, say 8 minutes at the end?
Okay.
Hard math, yeah, sorry. Late in the day. Your group leads will, give you more details and so forth. But any questions at this point? Or I see a lot of people haven't signed up for sessions yet, so I encourage you to do so. But you all ready to go?
I will send those who've made a decision off, and I'll talk to the other ones.
Okay. And I'll be checking in on the various groups.
All right.
I think I have cabin fever from the isolation folks. How do you select your desired group?
And go ahead, Megan.
Oh, I was going to say, in the participant window where you see your name, you can right click on it or click the dots next to it and you can rename yourself.
All right, thanks so much. And
one that gets me all the time is I try to, sometimes I'm trying to leave a meeting early and I push leave, and then you get this other thing like cancel the meeting for everybody or just leave. And I always get confused as to which I should do, and I've canceled meetings for people.
Well, there's been a thing going around of what's that word for that awkward moment where you've said goodbye and you're trying to find the hang up button,
They can all still see you doing that, yeah.
Okay, is everybody back?
At 27.
So.
Okay. Well, we wore them out. We went down from 38 to 27. Good work, y'all. I floated around in all the sessions. I could tell it was pretty intense, and that if nothing else, we've highlighted that credit is complicated. So thanks for all the hard work, especially at a late session, late in the meeting. I just wanted to, I'm not going to have all the groups report out and all that. I do want to note that the next meeting of the cluster, which is the third Thursday of the month at 10 o'clock Mountain Time, which I believe is 17 UTC. Everybody's welcome to join, and please contact me if you'd like to know more. And links to stuff is in the docs. But as a final exercise, just before we go, just want to do a quick Slido poll. So if you go to the Kiko chat page and click on the Slido tab, is everybody seeing that? It's just a simple little poll. Was this a useful exercise? If anybody is not seeing that, let me know.
Where's the Slido page?
Just click the link in the chat box.
Oh.
Thanks, Megan. And so as people start answering, what happens, Megan?
It won't let me send my response.
It seems like I have to rank them.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Oh, Christ.
Oh, really? That doesn't make sense.
Okay.
I'm having
All
a
right.
hard time wrapping my brain around this.
Okay. All right. Okay. We're adapting. In the chat, just give me a 1, 2, 3, high, medium, low. Was this session worthwhile?
Is 1 high or is 3 high?
1 is high.
That's why 2 is safe.
That's why I typed the word.
Yeah, I'm working with data semantics and people.
And
I actually like
pragmatism.
this because you have not only a number, but you have which group they were in. So.
That's true. That's true. Okay. Well, whatever.
Peter.
Oh, Leslie's like
-1.
Leslie's
Peter.
All right. Well, I take it by the giggles.
I think Peter means hyphen,
And
not
so forth.
minus.
That it was moderately useful, perhaps. Okay. And I've got results on my poll. Sorry, this is my first time Slidoing. Okay, I put up another. I think I put up another poll.
Yeah, you did.
And this is an open poll for you just to type your answer on suggestions for how this work could continue in ESIP or elsewhere, or maybe not at all. So type away. Hopefully you can type. Hopefully you can say send.
In the chat?
I was hoping in the Slido poll, but if that doesn't work, do it in the chat.
The Slido poll seems to be working this time.
Oh, it's working now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting results.
Scared by finalize and publish.
Sorry, Dan, what?
I'm scared by finalize and publish. It just seems like we're never gonna get to that point.
Oh, Lordy, yeah. People are obviously getting a little punchy late in the day. So how do I make how I can show the results? I guess I have to maybe share my screen.
Yeah, I would share your screen.
We can see them. I mean, everybody that finishes the poll can see the.
Okay.
Oh, you can? Okay, good. So I like more voices beyond the choir. Thanks for supporting the cluster, people. Yeah, examples are good. Use cases, as we like to call them. But I think this is different than use cases.
Yeah, I meant use cases in terms of different types of objects and materials, just, you know, sort of like those sample citations and bibliographies that are provided by publishers.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Oh,
Yeah.
follow this pattern for your particular thing, and you're likely in the neighborhood.
Yeah, collaborate with other clusters. Yeah, especially, I mean, we're finding this is very contextual. All right. Megan, is there a way we can save this, or I'll just copy it and paste it, I guess?
I believe it is saved. We can go back and look at it later, but yeah, copy and paste might be the most immediate. Let me grab it.